Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Launch and Defend Batmobile from the Spin Master's Batman the Caped Crusader line. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Spin Master for sending this to me for the purposes of this review. Very excited to take a look at this, so again, thank you Spin Master for sending this along. So as you can see, this is a new version of the Batmobile that does work with the 4-inch figures. And there's even a Batman figure included in this little bubble right here. But it is an RC Batmobile, so you can actually control it with this RC controller right up here. And then when you hit this red button in the center, it ejects Batman from the vehicle. So I think that's really cool. If you've ever played any of the Arkham games, I know that there's a move in those games where you're driving along in the Batmobile and you hit a button and Batman launches out and starts grappling. And I always thought that was really, really neat. So to have that now in toy form, I think is just a stroke of brilliance. I think that's really, really cool. Packaging pretty standard for vehicles for Spin Master. Very open packaging here. You can see the Batman's in a little bubble down here, but otherwise this is kind of just like plastic tied to the cardboard back. You have the remote control here. Now this does say that it has USB charging, but it also says that 2 AAA batteries are required. So I'm wondering if the batteries are for the car and maybe the remote control USB charges. I'm very interested to see how that works out. I'm assuming there'll be some kind of directions once I get inside and open this all up. But you can see it shows off some of the other Batman figures that are available. Boasts aerodynamic wings, a light-up cockpit, real rubber treads. That's all very, very cool. And then, of course, you have the automatic launch action, which I'm very excited about. So, very, very excited to take a look at this. And it does say that it works with 4-inch Batman figures. So, I'm assuming any Batman figure should work with this. And I'll try out a couple of the other ones that I have once we get this open. So, I'm going to go ahead, get everything out of the packaging, and we'll take a closer look. So, here's everything you get in the package. Of course, the Batmobile, the little Batman action figure, and then of course the remote control. Very simple, but I think it's totally effective. You have a very nice little Batman symbol right there. You have forward and back, you have left and right, and then the button for the eject. Now I actually had it backwards. This takes 2 AAA batteries, so you just unscrew that, put the 2 AAA batteries in there, and then screw it back closed, and that's it for that. Now there is no on and off switch on this, so I guess it's just always on, but there is an on and off switch on the Batmobile itself. So taking a look at the Batmobile, underneath here you can see that there's a bit of a drift controller here, so if you're having trouble with it drifting to one side, you can actually tweak it, kind of troubleshoot and turn that back and forth, which I think is actually really cool. You have the on and off switch right here, and then here you actually push this down, and then this opens up, and then here is the USB charger. So you just pull this out of here, plug this in to a USB port like on your computer. The directions say to use it on a computer. I would assume you could probably use like a phone charger, like, you know, the block for the wall that you just plug your phone USB into. I would assume that that would also be okay. I don't know that 100%. The directions did say to use a computer. It showed it plugging it into a computer. But it does come with a charge, so you don't even have to do it right away. But I just think that's really neat. And then you just wind this back up. And then you plug it right in there. There's a little spot. And then you just close this back up. And then that locks closed. I don't know why I'm having so much difficulty with it. I swear. There we go. The first time I did it, it was so much easier. So that's cool. I think that's really neat how it has the little compartment. It stores in there very nicely. It's not a separate cord, so you're not going to lose it. Because that's what I was a little worried about, you know, having to keep everything together. But it's right in there. I think that's perfect. I really think that's a smart idea. Overall, it's a pretty cool Batmobile. I like the design of it. It's fairly similar to the previous one that they did. It has these like rubber bumpers on the front, which I think is smart for an RC car. That way, if it's banging into something, it shouldn't damage anything, because these are kind of a nice soft plastic. You can see that there's a lot of give right there. So I think that's smart, having soft rubber on the front so as not to break anything when you're driving it around. But yeah, it's a pretty cool design. So how this works, we go ahead and open this up, and then you put your Batman figure right in there, and then when you press the button, this seat's going to pop up and eject him out. So we will, of course, take a look at that in a moment. But first, I would like to take a quick look at the Batman figure that comes included. Alright, so here's the Batman that comes in the packaging, and it's definitely a cheaper, kind of more bare-bones Batman. It reminds me of something you'd see at like a dollar store or Five Below or something like that. But for what you get, it's fairly decent. The paint applications on the front are nice. The utility belt looks good. Unfortunately, it doesn't go all the way around. But the bat symbol on the chest is nice. The face is painted very nicely. The cape still looks great. Same quality cape you get on all the figures. Articulation-wise, you really just have the shoulders that spin around, and then you have 90-degree bend in the hip. So that's pretty much it. And I mean, I get it. It's a cost-cutting measure. They wanted to keep costs down. They didn't want the set to feel incomplete, so they gave you kind of a cheaper Batman to keep the cost down. I mean, this line has plenty of Batman figures, so if you've been collecting the line at all, I'm sure you probably have one already. And I can bring in this Batman. He came with the Batcave that they also released, which is a great toy as well. But you can see the normal figure has the shoulder rotation with the hinge. You have an elbow joint that's a hinge and a rotation. You have hips that can go out to the side as well as front to back. You have thigh swivels. You have a very similar knee joint to the shoulder joint. Head can actually go from side to side. So these are great little figures for the price point. You can see that the utility belt paint goes all the way around as well. But like I said, I feel like the capes are similar. The capes are actually pretty good. So the Batmobile does work with any other figures you should have. At least Batman, I would assume. There's probably going to be larger figures that don't work. But you could probably get like Robin, Nightwing, some of those other figures as well to work. As long as they're around the same body frame, they should be compatible. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand why they didn't put a fully articulated figure in. It's a bit of a bummer, but at the same time, it makes sense to me. And if you're like me, you already have 6, 7, 8 other Batman figures, so you can go ahead and pop one of those guys in there. But honestly, I think it's kind of a smart idea, because when I'm shooting Batman out of the Batmobile, I kind of want a little bit more of a sturdy Batman, and I feel like this guy's not going to break, because he's kind of, you know, a little bit simpler in construction, so I can kind of fire him out with reckless abandon and not really worry about one of the joints popping off or something like that. He's a little bit more solid. So in that regard, I think it's kind of a smart idea to have a little bit simpler figure to fire out of the Batmobile. And speaking of, let's go ahead and check out that firing mechanism. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, is make sure it's turned on. I believe it is. Yes, okay. It is turned on. Then we're going to open up the top here, bend our Batman at the hips, and then you can see there's a seat. You just pop them right on there. And it's up to you if you want to kind of crinkle the cape. If you want to like put him in here and then just kind of either stuff the cape down behind him or have it sit over his head, it's up to you. If you want him to kind of sit on top of the cape, you can, but then I think it would kind of crinkle it. So I just kind of like to put it behind him, something like that. It's not perfect, but he does fit nicely and snugly. And then we'll go ahead and close that up. Now I do apologize that I don't have a ton of space in the review station, but we can get this to move. So you can see it rolls backwards and forwards. You can get it to go. Let's see, we'll do to the side. I'm knocking over all kinds of things you can't see off screen. But this is fun. I mean, it's a typical RC car. I have to try to remember how to... There we go. As I smash into the camera. So this is definitely a lot of fun, and I can see me having a ton of fun with this later on. Obviously, I think for kids, the kids are going to love this. I mean, it's an RC car, but let's go ahead. Let's try to get Batman out of there, and I will angle the camera up a little bit. And I hit the button. He comes flying out. So it works as intended. It definitely comes flying out of there, which I think is hysterical. He doesn't really like come flying out. I mean, I guess if you wanted to try to put his arms out ahead of him, because you still have to bend him at the waist, it's not like he unbends. Now, when you want to reset it, you just push the seat back down with your finger, and then you should be good to go again. So this time I'll try... Maybe I'll try to put him in... I mean, he's not gonna... It's never gonna make his legs, you know, bend, because it doesn't have that kind of force. But let's see what happens if I do this again. I don't know. There's something about it that just makes me laugh every time. I absolutely love it. So he definitely ejects. To me, it's more of like an ejector seat, like maybe the Batmobile is about to explode or something like that, and he has to eject to safety. But it's definitely a ton of fun. I get a kick out of it every time. Now, just to show you, we'll put him off to the side, and we'll bring this other Batman figure back in, and we will put him in. And you just do the same thing. You just put him into the seat. Make sure he fits down in there. Move the cape. And then we will hit the button once again. You can see it works with just any other Batman figure just as well. He comes flying out of there. Very fun. So I think that's a ton of fun. The RC car works perfectly. The controller is very simple to operate. You just forward and back, left to right. So you can see. And again, I don't have a ton of room, but it works really well. I have no problems moving the car around whatsoever. The controls work great. And like I said, I think it's really smart to have this soft rubber on the front so you won't go banging or smashing into anything with some severe damage. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. But yeah, I think this is a ton of fun. I think this is a lot of fun. Yeah, I could spend time complaining about that the Batman's not fully articulated, but I don't see the point. I mean, like I said, it makes total sense. They wanted to include a Batman so that the set felt complete, but they wanted to keep costs down since it already retails for $39.99, and they didn't want to get all the way up to $50. I think that makes total sense. On the shelf, $39.99 looks a lot more manageable than $49.99. So I think it makes total sense to kind of give you a Batman that's a little bit less articulated and painted, but I still think it's fun. I think it's a ton of fun. I especially think kids will love this because it's an RC car that shoots a Batman out. What's not to love? But I think collectors could definitely have some fun with this as well. I'll probably annoy my wife later driving this around the house downstairs. But yeah, I think this is a ton of fun. I think this is really neat. I love the ejector button. I mean, sure, it doesn't work perfectly, but think about it logistically. You know, it's going to shoot a Batman out. We would love it to have him kind of, fly forward and realistically, his hips would need to bend from the sitting position to, flailed out and have the cape. It's just, that's unrealistic. So I think it's a ton of fun. Him shooting out of it every time makes me laugh. I don't know why. And the RC car works great. I think the design's sleek. I think it's smart having the rubber on the front for, when you're bumping into stuff. I think the USB charging cord being in it and having a compartment, it's not a separate cord, I think is really nice because I would be worried about misplacing the cord or throwing it in a drawer with a bunch of other cords and then, not remembering what goes with what. It's a perfect storage system. It's right there. You're never going to lose it because it's connected. You just open that compartment, pull it out, plug it in for a little bit. And it does have a light. I think the light's inside. If we open this up again, I don't know if I showed this off earlier, but there's a light down inside right here. If I turn it on, it might glow for a second. Let me see. There it is, right there. So when you're charging it, that light stays solid, and then once it's fully charged, it turns off. So that's how you can tell if it is on or off. So I think this is fun. I mean, is every collector going to need it? Probably not. It's definitely geared more towards children because it's something fun to drive around. But I definitely think there's fun to be had here for collectors. If you like RC cars at all, if you like messing around with a RC Batmobile that can shoot a little figure at someone, I think there's fun to be had here. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But again, I want to give a huge shout out to Spin Master and thank them for sending this along for the purposes of this review. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it and had a ton of fun with this thing. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.